What I've got on right now is the new Pluma Pro Kit from Patagonia. This kit just released for fall 25, and it's a kit that's entirely made of Gore-Tex EPE Pro, which is Goretex Pro, but PFC free. It's the new fabric that a lot of brands are using, but this is how Patagonia decided to use it with this kit, at least for alpine stuff. If you want their other Gore-Tex Pro stuff, look at the Pouse Layer kit. But for alpine, this is what you're going to get, the Pluma Pro. Now, because this is a kit and it has a jacket and bibs, which I'm wearing the bibs underneath the jacket, I want to get to them both in this video, but I'm going to start with the jacket first because I don't want to reframe the shot. So with that being said, let's get into this jacket. Now, this jacket is probably the most feature-packed jacket I've seen from Patagonia. And what I mean by that is it's just loaded with everything. Like, you get 2 chest pockets, and inside this chest pocket, you've got a zippered secure pocket inside that chest pocket. You've got 2 side pockets. You've got pit zips, and inside the jacket, you've got another zippered secure pocket and a drop-in pocket. So there's a lot to this jacket. Not even mentioning that even on the hood, there's a little gasket on it, kind of similar to the Super Free Alpine jacket, but it's not insulated, it's just a gasket. So, like I said, this is a kind of feature-loaded jacket. Now, normally when I'm choosing a jacket to ice climb, I wouldn't go for this kind of jacket. I kind of like my jackets to be no frills. Like, think the M10 Anorak. That thing is probably my #1 ice climbing jacket because there's just nothing to it. There's no pockets, there's no nothing. Like, I like it because it's simple and it doesn't get in the way. Whereas jackets like these tend to get in the way. Like, I find that when a jacket has pit zips, you can a lot of times have like a blind spot when you got your tools up and you're trying to look down to the side, or even if you're trying to like look at your rack that you've got, having those pit zips can get in the way. And that was a criticism I had with the Super Free Alpine jacket. It had pit zips and I didn't like it because they got in the way. But this jacket, for as many features as it has, it actually doesn't get in the way. And I was kind of surprised by that because, like I said, going into it, I've had experience with all those features with the Super Free Alpine jacket, and I didn't like them. I found that they got in the way too much, and it just took away from my climbing. Whereas when I wore this jacket, it, like I said, it didn't get in the way. I noticed immediately with the pit zips is that they weren't super flared out, and I was able to see looking down. That was like kind of like crazy to me because it's like, whoa, this is the first time I've used a jacket that has pit zips that it actually doesn't create a blind spot. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Now, can I say that about all the pockets that it has? I don't use all the pockets. Like, I've never used the pocket inside the pocket. Like, that's kind of crazy. And I guess you could like store your keys there, but I don't know. Like, the pocket in the pocket's a weird thing, but it's cool, I guess. Like, you can technically pack a lot of things in this jacket if you think about it. Like, you've got a lot of storage, which in ways is pretty cool because, like, if you're talking about if you're going on a big ice climb and, you know, you're out there a ways and maybe it's a multi-pitch ice climb, it's cool in the sense that you can pack so much into this jacket that it is going to be protected by the shell. So in that sense, it's really cool. Like, that, having that drop-in pocket right here, that's actually super handy because, like, I stick my leading gloves in there because they're going to warm up faster and they're going to be protected. So in that sense, it is kind of nice to have all those features. And again, kind of hitting on this, what's interesting is that they don't get in the way. And that was kind of my preconceived notion with this jacket when I saw it. I was like, it's you know, it's just packed full of features, and for lack of a better word, it's the most Arc'teryx-like jacket from Patagonia. Like, it's got all the features you could possibly ask for. And sometimes I find that when you have all those features, it's too much. But for whatever reason with this jacket, it's not too much and it works. And if I didn't like this jacket, I probably only would have used it a few days and said, I'm going back to my M10. But I found myself grabbing this jacket more and more, specifically because of the material. Now, this material, I haven't been familiar with it. I'm familiar with Gore-Tex EPE with the Super Free Alpine jacket and the Alpine suit. And it kind of ends right there. Like, I don't have a whole lot of experience with Gore-Tex EPE Pro or even just Gore-Tex Pro in general. So I didn't really know what I was getting into with this jacket. I quickly found out that Gore-Tex EPE Pro runs very warm. And I made the mistake of wearing this entire kit on a kind of warm day. Don't do that. Don't do that. This kit is incredibly warm. And this jacket is very warm. So that created a very interesting kind of combination that you could start playing with, because towards the end of the season, I was using this jacket a lot more in tandem with like a soft shell pant or the mixed alpine pant. Like, it was interesting to have such bomber protection up here and going to like a different pant for like better flexibility or better breathability. And I found that I was having this really good like equilibrium because this fabric does offer such amazing protection. Like, it's incredibly waterproof, but the amount that it insulates is crazy. Like, even right now, it's kind of cold out and I can feel that I'm like warming up on the inside, which is such a crazy effect because I'm not wearing a blade jacket or anything. All I've got is this hard shell. And that's what I actually started seeing this kit's purpose for more and more when I was using it this past season for ice climbing. As we got hit with almost like a week and a half of like -20, and I was going for this jacket, and I was surprised by how much I didn't have to layer underneath. Like, even with the Alpine suit, when I've had to layer with that suit on those cold days, I am wearing something like a Nano Air underneath the jacket, and I'm wearing insulated pants. Whereas when I wore this kit and this jacket specifically, all I was wearing underneath this was a t-shirt and my Nano Air Ultralight, which doesn't have that much insulation. And I was toasty. And I found that I could actually go a lot of times without my like grade 7 down parka on top of this. The in-between making those little quick transitions on like if you're like doing a whole day of cragging or whatever, and you're making those transitions from like untying to going to the pack to then maybe going to belaying. Like, I found that I could do a lot of that stuff and even belay without needing a big puffy because Goretex Pro was insulating me enough. So that's really cool. And it is one of those things that I don't think you're going to realize until you use it. Like, I can talk on and on and on about how warm it is and how protective it is, but you're not going to realize it until you actually use it. So I'll kind of stop there about talking about it, but it really is a crazy fabric and just how much protection you get from it. I mean, like, bitter cold winds and just the wettest of climbs, this material handles like a pro. And I think Patagonia found a good blend between making a silhouette and giving you all the features. It complements the fabric really well. And this is a jacket that I'm more so considering using for the season, this upcoming season, which is kind of not on brand for me. Like, again, I'm more of an M10 person, but for the objectives that I want to climb this year, I might be reaching for this more often, especially in the sense that I might not have to bring as much insulation. But on the flip side, there are some negatives about this jacket. And those negatives are, it's two simple things. One, it's too warm. So if you are going out on a pretty warm day, think, high 20s in Fahrenheit to maybe even like low 30s, like at spring climbing, don't reach for this jacket. It's way too hot and it doesn't breathe that well. The few days that I accidentally made that mistake, the pit zips were fully undone. I was trying to vent heat and it wouldn't. It's really warm, which is like, it's the double-edged sword. Like, it's awesome how warm it is, but on those warmer days, not so great. And two, it's bulky. It's heavy. Like, you can feel that there is weight to this jacket. And, if you are packing your jackets in on the approach, because you honestly shouldn't wear your, hard shell when you're approaching. But if you're packing this jacket in your bag, you can tell that it takes up more pack space, which again makes sense. It's a thicker material, it's heavier, it's not ultra light. It's meant to protect, and it does that job really well. But when it comes to packing in your bag or just anything, it's bulky and it's kind of heavy. Is it the heaviest shell out there? No, it's not, but you can, like, if you're comparing it to an M10, it's a lot heavier and it is noticeable. So those are kind of the two downsides with the jacket. Everything else, like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised about it. Like, all the features that it has, even the hood, like, I'm not upset with the gasket there. For whatever reason, I don't like it on the Super Free. On this one, don't have a problem with it. And it does work really good. I think the only weird little feature, now that I'm saying it, it's got a dual zip. I don't know why it has the dual zip. Like, I guess if you're throwing it over layers and you use it to belay, it makes sense, which I guess if you want, because it's Gore-Tex Pro and it's warmer, you could use it as like a faux belay jacket. But I don't like the dual zips on hard shells. I think they're kind of silly, and they lead to that. It's weird. I don't like it. So, not the biggest fan of the dual zip. But other than that, I don't have any problems with all the features. I think they're pretty cool to have, and it's really cool to have all these features in this jacket without them getting in the way. Now, the final thing that I'll touch upon this jacket is fit. I wear a size medium, and I am 6 foot and 175 pounds, and this is how the jacket fits on me. And there you go. I will say, with the fit, because it is a little bit looser, like, it is meant to accommodate extra layers underneath. Like, even right now, I could accommodate a fair amount more, but like, it's pretty good. And I think the only thing that you'd like kind of notice is because it is a little bit bigger in its size for accommodating extra layers. When you have the harness on, it tends to billow out a little weird, but that's just just an extra material thing. It's not that big of a deal, and it's just aesthetically not like the most streamlined. So other than that, the fit is pretty great with this. I mean, I've got long arms and it works for me, so the fit's pretty good. Okay, shot, reframed. I was kind of dreading that. So the Pluma Pro Bibs, as you can see, they are bibs. And I actually, like, that's pretty cool. I like this style of bib a lot. It's actually interesting because these bibs remind me so much of the Arc'teryx Alpha bibs, between like this stretchy material. I mean, it kind of seems like they took a page out of their notebook, but I mean, this is Patagonia's version of it, and it's my first time with this kind of style of bib. I mean, realistically, the only bib that I've used was the dual aspect bib, and that bib was kind of annoying. I'm not going to lie. Getting into it, pain. Getting into this bib, really easy. Like, all you have to do is undo the button and pull down the zip. It's great. It's easy. And these bibs do feature a full-length zip on both sides. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, it kind of goes into the design thing, too, of, like, you undo these zips, and then you can, like, pull it down if you got to go to the bathroom real quick. So for that instance, the features of this bibs are pretty cool. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about bibs. You got like 2 thigh pockets, which are nice. I tend to store my phone in them when I'm not climbing and I'm belaying. When I'm climbing, can't have the phone in there. At least for me, I find that it's a little bit tight. Like, obviously, this isn't like a stretchy material. Like, the dual aspect had mechanical stretch, whereas this doesn't have much stretch. So this is really the amount of flexibility that you're going to get within this piece is more so due to patterning rather than material. So be aware of that. And on that note, I mean, I've done some pretty stemmy climbs, and I've done a little bit of mixed climbing with these bibs, and they work okay. Like, I definitely noticed that when I'm trying to do a high step, which is maybe more so my technique of, like, when I'm going up and I get into, like, the monkey hang, and then I'm, like, going through the progression, I tend to do a high step. And, like, right now, granted, I've got, like, climbing pants on underneath. It's not just like my base layers. They're a little bit tighter right now because I am wearing a thicker pant. But if you were wearing a thicker base layer, this is kind of how it would fit for you. But like right now, I can't get the high step that I want, because if I could, I would go a lot higher. But there is like this resistance within the fabric and kind of everything. I feel like it's due to like there's restriction from the thigh pocket, and there's kind of restriction through here as well. So you don't get like the full range of mobility, but it's mobile enough. Like I said, I've done some pretty stemmy climbs in it. I haven't noticed that it's that much of a hindrance, but I also notice it. And it is one of those things that every time you take a little bit of a high step, you can feel that you're not getting like 100% of the high step. You're getting like 85 or like 75. You can feel that you're not getting the full length, which if you get super into like minute details, that's a lot of percentage. But in the grand scheme of things, is it that bad? No, it's not that bad. It's pretty manageable. And I think for the amount of protection that you get with this, like, I would be willing to sacrifice that mobility in some instances. Like if I'm on a super frigid climb, like if the day is like -20 or colder, like I'm probably gonna go for these. Like these keep my legs incredibly warm. And like I know I talked about the jacket, about wearing layers underneath. When I wear the bibs, I just wear my base layers, which last season it was cap air. So I just had that and my legs were toasty warm, which was really, really nice because of like ice climbing just with soft shell pants. It was really nice to have warm legs. So in that instance, it is worth that like sacrifice for the cold. And you know, if you're in a super wet climb where you're just getting like a torrential downpour of water coming off the ice, like having these is pretty nice. They're really waterproof and water resistant, and they beat up really well, and they don't soak in immediately. Like they do a great job of that. So like in that instance, it is kind of worth it for that sacrifice in mobility. But as like your everyday cragging, you know, you're setting up a top rope or anything like that, I don't know if these are the best pants for that. Like I like the M10 pants because of how mobile they are. I also like the mixed alpine pant, and I also like the soft shell alpine guide pant from Patagonia. I like all of those pants for more cragging things. Like I could see more on a more expedition sense or a more high alpine sense, this would be great. But just for like doing laps and laps and laps, I don't know if this is the go-to piece. I would rather sacrifice something for more mobility, because that it does start to get to me. It starts to annoy me when I'm climbing. Like I said, it is one of those things that every time I go up, I can feel that percentage loss, and it's frustrating. And kind of going off of that too, one of the other things I've noticed because of my tendency to high step is that this built-in little gaiter kind of gets in the way, and it kind of raises up too. Also, like, it's kind of weird because these pants, you think that they would go down lower. They don't. The gaiter kind of sticks out. And I personally am just not a big fan of having the built-in gaiters in bibs or ice climbing pants. I mean, if you're dealing with crampons, it's the most annoying thing, and you're always like terrified that you are going to snag them. Like, I know a lot of people are, you know, paranoid about snagging their nick patch. I'm paranoid about snagging the built-in gaiter. They're just kind of annoying, and they get even more annoying because they are elasticized, and they kind of like slowly inch up the boot when you start doing high steps, and then you get high waters at the end of the day, and it just like, it's like, really? So I'm not a big fan of the built-in gaiter, and I'm not a huge fan of like the lack of mobility. But the mobility thing, it's a little bit of a nitpick, and the gaiter thing, it's a nitpick. Overall, these bibs are pretty great. Like, they're fairly simple compared to the jacket, which has a ton of features. Like, they have a really good suspenders. Like, I like this version of the suspenders a lot more than like the previous suspenders that were not included with the alpine suit but were an accessory. I think these are a lot better. I like how it is just like a simple like drop system. You have a full length zip right there. You've got two thigh pockets, and even the fly super handy. It's got a dual zip, so if you've got to go, you don't have to like take off everything. It's so much more convenient, and I wish more of Patagonia's products had the dual zip. Like it's such a quality of life thing that it seems so unnecessary, but it makes everything a lot easier. So having the dual zip on the fly, super nice. But I mean, overall, these are a great pair of bibs. Now, kind of like the Pluma Pro Jacket, they have their use case. Like they're great if you're climbing a very wet climb or a very cold day. Like if you climb in these when it's warm, incredibly hot, like would not recommend. And if you're doing a lot of stemming and it's a lot of like stretchy, reachy climbs, like think like you're always doing like flexible stuff, I wouldn't go for this pant. Can you do it in this? Maybe, but you could probably also, blow the crotch out as well. It's just a guess and a theory. So I could see that happening, and I would reach for other pants for those different objectives. But if you are doing like those kind of alpine ice or just alpine climbs that are just bitterly cold and can sometimes be very wet, I mean, these pants are built like a tank, and they're going to handle it, and you're going to be warm in it, and you're going to be protected. So in that sense, they have their upsides. For me, they're a very niche pant that I'll be using going forward, like I said, for like the coldest days or the wettest climbs, but that's kind of it for me. I don't see gravitating towards these pants all the time, and it's kind of sad because I really like the bibs. Like I wish that this style of bib was incorporated within more of Patagonia's products. But anyways, the final thing I'll touch upon with these bibs is the fit. I mean, I did talk about the, mobility thing. Again, take it with a grain of salt because I'm wearing a thicker pant. It's a little bit better when you have just like long underwear on. But the fit of them, it's pretty good. I don't really have a complaint. Sometimes bibs are hard for me because I have a slightly shorter torso, but like I said, the suspenders are great. Don't notice they walk down, which I have a problem with a lot of other suspenders. They don't do that. Everything is well in place. They fit really well. I am a size medium or a 32 in these, and I wear a 32 pant or medium bottoms. Like I feel like these fit pretty run-of-the-mill. They do have a little bit of extra space, but I can notice that probably the only place that it's kind of tight is just the thighs, and that's probably a me thing. I have slightly bigger thighs, so if you find yourself that you often find that a lot of pants fit tight in the thighs, these ones might follow the same suit, but I do gotta say they're not that bad. I've been in a lot worse of pants and bibs that are super tight in the thighs, and these are not the worst. But again, it's noticeable when you do that high step. They're not the most mobile. So if you got bigger thighs, maybe look at a different pant. If you don't, this pants will probably work great for you. So with everything being said, the Pluma Pro Kit is a very specialized kit. Like it's very much tailored for a specific objective, cold ascents or very wet ascents. And I know moving forward, I will use these pieces accordingly. I probably have a greater chance of using the jacket more so than the bibs, but I know on the coldest days and the wettest days, I'll be in the Pluma Pro Kit 9 times out of 10. The one time that I might not be is because I'll probably be wearing the Alpine suit. I mean, that thing is sick. It's a one piece, but this is a very, very good alternative for just pure protection.